I put this really, really simple financial model together, which is just literally like, it took me 2 seconds in a spreadsheet, but I put a lot of thought into it about how they could expand. But keep in mind, this is a total guess. But I just kind of wanted to put pen to paper to see how fast the ARR, annual recurring revenue, in billions of dollars will scale for SpaceX. This is what they're going to get valued on the public market. I mean, Elon Musk said when they IPO that they're going to IPO once they start getting it into the wild, recurring revenue and customers, and have a lot more insight into that. To me, the scary part is, and this is why I wanted to make this video right now, Starlink is coming, because I was like, wait, like we're already in the wild. People are already talking about how dope this is. It was literally like I was with one of my friends yesterday and we're talking about how, he knows somebody who got Starlink and they're referring it to all their neighbors. They're loving it, even though they're paying that, $100 a month. So I was like, it's one thing to hear about it on Reddit and to read the tweets, but to like hear your friends through the grapevine be like, bro, like I know a guy who knows a guy who has Starlink, and it's so like I'm hearing the excitement bubble up, and I feel like this is here. Like even from the consumer standpoint, my guess is there's about 1,000 people that got the beta in 2020. I think that's probably an underestimate, but that's what I put in my model here. So 1,000 subscribers in 2020, and I think they're going to really rapidly expand that deployment here in 2021. So I have them growing to about 100,000 total paying subscribers by the end of 2021. And I have that monthly fee dropping to $90 a month. I don't know. I'm just assuming a compression of ASP just because I assume they want to make it more affordable, but that's just me guessing. That gives you to a 110 million annual recurring revenue rate by the end of 2021. And if you think about that, like, the price sales multiples we're seeing in the market for some of these stocks, 30, 50x, 50x, 111 million, that's $5 billion in revenue. And I actually think Starlink would justify an even bigger premium than that. So I think the valuation of Starlink is, to me right now, today, if you're like, Gally, you have to give us your deep down intrinsic value of Starlink. I think it's 50 to 75 billion is like, if I, had a huge amount of capital and I'm managing money and I want to invest in Starlink, I would price this at 50 to 75 billion and I'd be buying hand over fist under that valuation, because I think the net present value of the cash flows of a business that could be the global, and eventually galactic internet service for all of humanity is a multi-hundreds of billions of dollar problem, maybe $1 trillion problem. And so I think if you risk adjust the reward, they're still early, but it's definitely working. They have the SpaceX technology. So 1 million units in 2022, scaling from 100,000, gets us to almost $1 billion in annual recurring revenue with that price drop to $80 a month. And just to put things in context, I found this excellent Tasmanian article, which sums up an August 2020 SpaceX like FCC presentation. Some really good gems in here. I'll put a link below. But they were saying that in the first couple days, nearly 700,000 people in all 50 states signed up just to say, I want the beta. We were probably all one of them, But so almost 1 million people were like, I want it instantly. My guess is 10 or 20% of those will pay whatever price. SpaceX is pretty fairly priced, but $100 a lot for most people, but I'm guessing a ton of those people can pay for it. Interest is huge. Not $1 for marketing, not $1 for anything. How many ads do you see for internet, for Comcast, for this, for that? I even was Googling this, and now I've been targeted with like all these satellite internet company ads or whatever. So SpaceX and Starlink have zero incremental marketing costs that they're going to amortize to their consumers. Huge advantage there. But the FCC has approved them for 1 million satellites. And they've already approved that. So that's 1 million like dishes, 1 million customers potentially approved already. And I'm not having them scale that to 2022, but they've already put in a thing with the FCC to basically say we want to hit 5 million, eventually get approval for 5 million terminals. Here's another data point. They are building about 120 satellites a month, but that was in August 2020, tying back to Tesla. It sounds like manufacturing of these satellites is a pretty important metric to follow as well. But 120 a month, they're already scaling that. That's probably about as fast as they can launch them, maybe even faster. But as that scales, I mean, we're already almost at 1,000 satellites. I think we quickly get into the multi-thousands of satellites. It'll take 2 to 3, 4 years before this is fully deployed, full global coverage. But I don't know. That's kind of how I'm backing into my assumptions here. Total guesstimates, but 1 million people by the end of 2022. I think this is probably much lower than SpaceX's internal goals. But I think also a lot of this comes down to how many satellites they can launch, how many people they can have per satellite. And then I have that scaling to 4 million by 2023. Still not up to that 5 million approval. And remember, 2023, we could have pretty much global coverage of Starlink. They're already applying to launch it in a bunch of different countries. So I don't know. I think this seems very doable, but 4 million subscribers paying an average of $75 a month. That's $3.6 billion in ARR. So you think about a late 2021, early 2022 IPO, looking at 2023 revenue of 3 to 4 or 5 billion, or that run rate on the horizon, you think of a 10, 20 times multiple on that 3 to 4 or 5 billion runs rate. Like we're getting easily into $100 billion territory valuation just in, 18 months from now, looking ahead, or even 12 months from now, looking at the next 12 to 18 months. So I think Starlink is already in the millions of dollars of revenue run rate now, or quickly getting to that scale, soon tens of millions, very soon hundreds of millions, potentially by the end of this year. I think they crossed the $100 million revenue run rate threshold. That's very feasible. And if they're on track to do that, then we're on track to do billions in revenue, and the valuation is tens of billions from there.